Pinatawan sa pamumuno ni Speaker Ferdinand Martin FMR Romualdez, Cámara, House of the People. Tuwing Sabado, alas 6 hanggang alas 7 ng umaga at replays tuwing Linggo, alas 6 hanggang alas 7 ng gabi. Dito lang sa FMR Quezon 94.3, ang inyong favorite music radio.
The Secretary General is directed to call the roll of the members.
Roll call of members, honorable representatives, Abalos, Abante, Abunda, Acharon, Asidre, Acop, Adyong, Advincula, Agaraw, Alba, Albano, Almario, Almonte, Alonte, Alvarez Jose, Alvarez Mercedes, Alvarez Pantaleon, Amante, Amatong, Angara, Aquino Magsaysay, Arbison, Arenas, Arrogancia, Asistio, Ataide, Aumentado, Balindong, Barbers, Baronda, Barzaga, Baskug, Bautista Lim, Benitez, Bernos, Billones, Biron, Bolilia, Bondok, Bongalon, Bordado, Bosita, Briones, Brosas, Buhaing, Bulut Begtang, Bustos, Cabredo, Cagas, Kahayon Uy, Calderon, Calixto, Campos, Kawagdan, Cardema, Cari, Castro France, Castro Jane, Celeste, Chan, Chato, Chua, Chungalaw, Ko Angelica Natasha, Ko Elizaldi, Ko Pilar, Ko Angko Jaime, Ko Angko Mark, Colada, Collantes, Corvera, Cruz Ambrosio, Cruz Ricardo, Hua, Quaresma, Dagook, Dalipe, Dalog, Dayanghirang, Daza, De Jesus, De Venecia, Defensor, Del Mar, De Los Santos, Dimaporo Muhammad Khalid, Dimaporo City Amina, Dionisio, Domingo, Doavid, Dohali, Duterte, Di Faustino Ino, Di Faustino Michael Carlos, Di Ian Paul, Ecleo, Emano, Enverga, Escudero, Espares, Espina, Estrella, Udela, Fariñas, Fernandez, Ferrer Antonio, Ferrer Juliet Marie, Flores, Cortés, Frasco, Fresnedi, Fuentebella, Galeos, Garcia Albert, Garcia Dante, Garcia Jose Arturo, Garcia Maria Angela, Garcia Pablo John, Garcia Vincent, Guardiola, Garin, Gasataya, Gato, Go Ed Christopher, Go Mark, Goles, Gomez, Gonzaga, Gonzalez Aurelio, Gonzalez Neptali, Gonzalez Sandro, Goriseta, Guico, Gintu, Gulyas, Gutierrez, Hagedorn, Aresco, Ataman, Hernandez, Herrera, Oribata, Javier, Ko Olga, Ko Ricardo, Ko Wilton, Konghun, Labad, Lacson Noel, Lagman, Lagon Daphne, Lagon Sunny, Lara, Lazatin, Lee, Legarda, Libanan, Lim Kaichong, Loyola, Luistro, Lumayag, Macapagal Arroyo, Maceda, Madrona, Magsino, Malapitan, Mangawang, Maniquis, Manuel, Marañon, Marcoleta, Marcos, Mariano Hernandez, Mariño, Marquez, Martinez, Matstura, Matibag, Matugas, Mendoza, Mercado Revilla, Miguel, Momo, Morden, Nava, Nisay, Noel, Nograles Juan Fidel Felipe, Nograles Margarita, Nolasco, Oaminal, Olaso, Olivares, Ongchuan, Ordanes, Ortega, Uwano Dizon, Padiernos, Paduano, Paglas, Palma, Panaligan, Pancho, Panotes, Pascual, Peña, Pimentel, Plaza, Pleito, Primicias Agabas, Umaren, Uno, Kimbo, Rama, Recto, Regencia, Remulia, Revilla Brian, Revilla Ramon Jolo, Reyes, Rilio, Rivera, Robes, Rodriguez Eulogio, Rodriguez Rufus, Roman, Romero, Romualdez Ferdinand Martin, Romualdez Yeda Marie, Romualdo, Romulo, Roque, Sakdalan, Sagarbaria, Sakaluran, Salceda, Sali, Salimbangon, Salo, Salvame, Santos, Saulog, Silverio, Singson Richel, Singson Ronald, Singson Mihan, Solon, Suwan, Swansing Horacio, Swansing Micaela Angela, Suarez, Talyado, Tamayo, Tambunting, Tan Joseph, Tan Keith Micah, Tan Reynolds Michael, Tan Samir, Tan Stephen James, Tan Tambut, Tan Chay, Tan Watko, Tariela, Teodoro, Teves Arnolfo, Teves Jose, Tiangco, Tieng, Tolentino, Tulfo Erwin, Tulfo Jocelyn, Tulfo Ralph Wendell, Tupas, Tutor, T, Umali, Unabia, Ungab, Valeriano, Valmarior, Vargas Alfonso, Velasco, Veloso Tuazon, Vergara, Versosa, Villafuerte Luis Raymond, Villafuerte Miguel Luis, Villanueva, Villar, Villaraza Suarez, Villarica, Violago, Yamsuan, Yap Christian Tel, Yap Christopher Son, Yap Edvic, Yap Eric, Yap Divina Grace, U Divina Grace, U Jazel Victoria, Yulo, Zamora Amparo Maria, Zamora Maria Carmen, Zamora Isabel Maria Zubiri.
With 196 members responding to the call, the chair declares the presence of a quorum. Mr. Majority Leader,
Mr. Speaker, we are in receipt of the certified true copy of the certificate issued by the Commission on Elections, which states that Mr. Erwin T. Tulfo is the new nominee number 3 of ACT-CIS party list, which entitles him to sit as representative in the House of Representatives of the Congress of the Philippines. Mr. Speaker, pursuant to the aforementioned certificate of proclamation, I move that we allow the Honorable Erwin T. Tulfo, representative of ACT-CIS party list, to take his oath in open session.
is there any objection to the motion? The chair hears none. The motion is approved. The Secretary General is directed to call Representative Erwin T. Tulfo of the ACT-CIS party list to take his oath before this body. So the House of Representatives and all our guests in the galleries to please rise to witness the oath-taking of our new member. Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I,
Erwin T. Tulfo,
of Barangay Damayang Lagi, Quezon City,
Barangay Dabayang Lagi, Quezon City,
having been elected as representative, Anti-Crime and Terrorism Community Involvement and Support, Inc., ACT-CIS party list,
having been elected as representative Anti-Crime and Terrorism Community Involvement and Support Incorporated, party
Here-
list,
hereby solemnly swear
hereby solemnly swear
that I will well and faithfully discharge,
that I will well and faithfully discharge,
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my
the
ability,
duties of my present position
the duties of my present position,
and of all others
and of all others
I may hereafter hold
I may hereafter
under
hold
the Republic of the Philippines,
under the Republic of the Philippines,
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the Philippines,
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the Philippines,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
and that I will obey all the laws, legal orders, and decrees promulgated by the duly constituted authorities of the Republic of the Philippines,
and that I will obey all the laws, legal orders, and decrees promulgated by the duly constituted authorities of the Republic of the Philippines,
and that I impose this obligation upon myself voluntarily,
and that I impose this obligation upon myself voluntarily,
without mental reservation or purpose of evasion.
without mental reservation or purpose of evasion.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Aktibidad aktibilidades ng mga kinatawan sa pamumuno ni Speaker Ferdinand Martin FMR Romualdez, Cámara, House of the People. Tuwing Sabado, alas 6 hanggang alas 7 ng umaga at replays tuwing Linggo, alas 6 hanggang alas 7 ng gabi. Dito lang sa FMR Quezon 94.3, ang inyong favorite music radio. Alamin natin ang mga programa at aktibidades ng mga kinatawan sa pamumuno ni Speaker Ferdinand Martin FMR Romualdez, Cámara, House of the People.
Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, in order to allow our members to meet and extend their greetings to the Honorable Erwin T. Tulfo of ACT-CIS Party List, I move that we suspend session for a few minutes.
Session suspended.
FMR Romualdez, Cámara, House of the People. Tuwing Sabado, alas 6 hanggang alas 7 ng umaga at replays tuwing Linggo, alas 6 hanggang alas 7 ng gabi. Dito lang sa FMR Quezon 94.3, ang inyong favorite music radio. Alamin natin ang mga programa at aktibidades ng mga kinatawan sa pamumuno ni Speaker Ferdinand Martin FMR Romualdez, Cámara, House of the People. Tuwing Sabado, alas 6 hanggang alas 7 ng umaga at replays tuwing Linggo, alas 6 hanggang alas 7 ng gabi. Dito lang sa FMR Quezon 94.3, ang inyong favorite music radio. Alamin natin ang mga programa at aktibidades ng mga kinatawan sa pamumuno ni Speaker Ferdinand Martin FMR Romualdez, Cámara, House of the People. Tuwing Sabado, alas 6 hanggang alas 7 ng umaga at replays tuwing Linggo, alas 6 hanggang alas 7 ng gabi. Dito lang sa FMR Quezon 94.3, ang inyong favorite music radio.
This is your favorite music radio, FMR.
Alamin natin ang mga programa at aktibidades ng mga kinatawan sa pamumuno ni Speaker Ferdinand Martin FMR Romualdez, Cámara, House of the People. Tuwing Sabado, alas 6 hanggang alas 7 ng umaga at replays tuwing Linggo, alas 6 hanggang alas 7 ng gabi. Dito lang sa FMR Quezon 94.3, ang inyong favorite music radio.
FMR. Favorite Music Radio.
This is your favorite music radio, FMR.
Alamin natin ang mga programa at aktibidades ng mga kinatawan sa pamumuno ni Speaker Ferdinand Martin FMR Romualdez, Cámara, House of the People.
Majority
Tuwing
Leader.
Sabado, alas 6
Mr.
hanggang
Speaker,
alas
considering that copies of Journal Number 3 dated July 26, 2023 were already distributed to the members, I move that we dispense with the reading of the said journal and consequently for its approval. I so move.
Is
Madam
there any
Speaker.
objection? The chair hears none. The motion is carried. Journal number 3 dated July 26, 2023 is hereby approved. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move that we proceed with the reference of business and that the Secretary General be directed to read the title of the bills and resolutions for approval, for consideration on first reading, as well as committee reports and communication. So move, Madam Speaker.
Is there any objection? The chair hears none. The Secretary General is directed to read the title of bills and resolutions in the reference of business.
Reference of business. Bills on first reading. House Bill 8595 to increase the cash assistance for non-teaching personnel of the DepEd by Representative Tambunting.
To the Committee on Basic Education and Culture.
House Bill 8596 converting the Barangay Road from Asuncion in Maasin City to Poco, Bontoc, Southern Leyte into a national road by Representative Mercado.
To the Committee on Public Works and Highways.
House Bill 8597 regulating noise pollution by creating the Noise Pollution Control Board by Representative Tupas.
To the Committee on Ecology.
House Bill 8598 declaring the Congressman Edelmiro A. Amante Sr. Mapaso Resort and Adventure Nature Park in Santiago, Agusan del Norte as an ecotourism zone by Representative Corvera.
To the Committee on Tourism.
House Bill 8599, converting the Northern Mindanao School of Fisheries in Buenavista, Agusan del Norte into the Northeastern Mindanao Polytechnic Institute by Representative Corvera.
To the Committee on Higher and Technical Education.
House Bill 8600, amending certain provisions of the Anti-Agricultural Smuggling Act of 2016 by Representative Tan Keith Micah.
To the Committee on Agriculture and Food.
House Bill 8601, mandating the formulation, financing, implementation, monitoring, and evaluation of a comprehensive and multi-year Tatak Pinoy, Proudly Filipino strategy, establishing a Tatak Pinoy Council by Representative Tan Keith Micah.
To the Committee on Trade and Industry.
House Bill 8602, establishing a Revenue District Office of the BIR in Tubod, Lanao del Norte by Representatives Dimaporo Muhammad Khalid and Dimaporo City Amina.
To the Committee on Ways and Means.
House Bill 8603, declaring July 27 of every year as a special national working holiday in commemoration of the founding anniversary of Iglesia ni Cristo by Representative Matibag.
To the Committee on Revision of Laws.
House Bill 8604, declaring December 18th of each year as Adlaw ni Graciano Lopez Haina, a special non-working holiday in the entire Western Visayas region by Representative Ang.
To the Committee on Local Government.
House Bill 8605 and 8606, converting the satellite campuses of the Bukidnon State University in Medina and Talisayan, Misamis Oriental into regular campuses of the Bukidnon State University to be known as into the Bukidnon State University Medina and Bukidnon State University Talisayan respectively by Representative Unabia.
To the Committee on Higher and Technical Education.
House Bill 8607, converting the LTO Sorsogon District Office into a Class C LTO District Office by Representative Escudero.
To the Committee on Transportation.
House Bill 8611 and 8612, establishing the Rapu-Rapu and Manito Albay TESDA Training and Assessment Centers respectively by Representatives Co. Elizalde and Bungalon.
To the Committee on Higher and Technical Education.
House Bill 8613, creating the Metropolitan Naga Development Authority by Representative Bordado.
To the Committee on Government Enterprises and Privatization.
House Bill 8614, enabling banks to expand service delivery channels through cash agents by Representative Kua.
To the Committee on Banks and Financial Intermediaries.
House Bill 8615, providing for a new chapter of the Development Bank of the Philippines by Representative Kua.
To the Committee on Banks and Financial Intermediaries.
House Bill 8616, providing barangay officials, including barangay tanods, members of the Lupon ng Tagapamayapa, barangay health workers, and barangay daycare workers, a retirement benefit.
To
by
the committee-
Representative Ko Angelica Natasha.
To the Committee on Local Government.
House Bill 8617, declaring Rubas Haro Leyte as an ecotourism site, providing for its development by Representative Javier.
To the Committee on Tourism.
House Bill 8618, declaring the Calabato Hot Springs and Eco Park and its premises located in Bukawan, La Paz, Leyte as a tourist spot by Representative Javier.
To the Committee on Tourism.
House Bill 8619, declaring Silawa Falls in Villa Conzoilo, Haro, Leyte as an ecotourism site by Representative Javier.
To the Committee on Tourism.
House Bill 8620, institutionalizing the development of dentists to the barrios by Representative Reyes.
To the Committee on Health.
House Bill 8621, reducing wastage by donating and recycling excess edible food by Representative Reyes.
To the Special Committee on Food Security.
House Bill 8622, amending RA 10973 by further granting the Director of the PNP Anti-Cybercrime Group the authority to administer oath and to use subpoena and subpoena duces tecum by Representative Villa.
To the Committee on Public Order and Safety.
House Bill 8623, concerning civil liability and compensation for nuclear damage by Representative Juanco Mark.
To the Special Committee on Nuclear Energy.
House Bill 8624, declaring November 12th of every year a special non-working holiday in Talagocon, Agusan del Sur, in commemoration of its founding anniversary and Pangadu Festival by Representatives Bascug and Plaza.
To the Committee on Local Government.
House Bill 8625, providing for the conversion of certain roads all located in the province of Tarlac into a national road by Representative Cojuangco Jaime.
To the Committee on Public Works and Highways.
House Bill 8626, providing for the conversion of certain roads all in the province of Guimaras into national roads by Representative Nava.
To the Committee on Public Works and Highways.
House Bill 8627, mandating the special discount granted to PWDs in the purchase of basic necessities and prime commodities by Representative Corvera.
To the Special Committee on Persons with Disabilities.
House Bill 8628, mandating the special discount granted to senior citizens in the purchase of basic necessities and prime commodities by Representative Corvera.
To the Committee on Senior Citizens.
Resolutions. House Resolution 1127, the House of Representatives expressing warmest felicitations and congratulations to the Iglesia ni Cristo on its 109th founding anniversary celebration by Representative Olivares.
To the Committee on Rules.
House Resolution 1128, congratulating and commending Filipino athlete Chris Samuel T. Delfin for winning the gold medal in the Earnest Men's Individual Anyo Non-Traditional Open Weapon category in the 32nd SEA Games held in Cambodia last May 5 to 17, 2023 by Representative Violago.
To the Committee on Rules.
House Resolution 1129, urging the Committee on Human Rights to immediately conduct an investigation on the filing of trumped-up charges under the anti-terror law against human rights defenders in southern Tagalog by Representatives Brosas, Castro France, and Manuel.
To the Committee on Rules.
House Resolution 1130, calling for an investigation on the rampant predatory and abusive lending practices, including harassment and imposition of exorbitant interest rates by lending companies by Representative Briones.
To the Committee on Rules.
House Resolution 1131, enjoining the House Committee on Public Accounts, House Committee on Local Government, Bureau of Local Government, Finance of the Department of Finance, the DILG, the DepEd, and the COA to conduct an inquiry on the utilization of the Special Education Fund by Representative Duhali.
To the Committee on Rules.
House Resolution 1132, directing the DOTR to fund the necessary upgrades for night flight operations for the Osamis Airport in Misamis Occidental by Representative Dimaporo Muhammad Khalid.
To the Committee on Transportation.
House Resolution 1133, expressing the sincerest gratitude and support to the President of the Philippines, His Excellency Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr., for the establishment of the country's first border inspection facility in Angat, Bulacan by Representative Plato.
To the Committee on Agriculture and Food.
House Resolution 1134, congratulating and commending the Philippine team for winning their first ever match at the 2023 FIFA Women's World Cup held at New Zealand by Representative Miguel.
To the Committee on Youth and Sports Development.
House Resolution 1135, urging the Committee on the Welfare of Children and the Committee on Human Rights to immediately conduct an investigation on the spate of aerial bombings conducted by the military and its impact on the situation and well-being of children by Representatives Brosas, Castro France, and Manuel.
To the Committee on Rules.
House Resolution 1136, urging the House Committee on Public Order and Safety to conduct an inquiry on the incident of inmate Michael Cataroha, who was reported missing from the maximum security compound of the new Bilibid prison of the Bucor by Representative Tulfo Erwin, Tulfo Jocelyn, and Yap Edvic.
To the Committee on Rules.
House Resolution 1137, congratulating and commending the Philippine women's football team for its historic win in the 2023 FIFA Women's World Cup by Representative Guo.
To the Committee on Youth and Sports Development.
House Resolution 1138, directing the Energy Regulatory Commission to issue an amended format of electricity bills to exclude subsidies from the computation of VAT on gross receipts in the sale of electricity by Representatives De Jesus and Dagook.
To the Committee on Energy.
House Resolution 1139, directing the Energy Regulatory Commission to disallow the National Grid Corporation of the Philippines from collecting its franchise tax as a passed-on charge and initiate the refund process for the overcharged amounts to its consumers by Representatives Dagohoc and De Jesus.
To the Committee on Energy.
Communications. Letter dated May 23, 2023 of the Japan International Cooperation Agency Chief Representative submitting to the House a copy of their 2022 annual report entitled Creating a Better Future Together.
To the Committee on Ways and Means.
Various letters, email, and reports submitted by local government chief executives and officials regarding their fund utilization and status of program project implementation of the Local Government Support Fund, LGSF.
To the Committee on Appropriations.
Letter dated May 29, 2023 of the OIC Director for COA Regional Office 2, furnishing the House of Representatives with copies of their annual audit reports for the year ending December 31, 2022 on certain state universities and college.
To the Committee on Public Accounts.
Letter dated June 2, 2023 of the DOST Director, Advanced Science and Technology Institute, submitting to the House copies of certain reports as of May 31, 2023.
To the Committee on Appropriations.
Letter dated June 6, 2023 of the Cagayan Provincial Budget Officer, Province of Cagayan, submitting to the House a copy of their report on the Quick Response Fund under the Local Disaster Risk Reduction Management Fund for calendar year 2020.
To the Committee on Appropriations.
Letter dated June 8, 2023 of the DBM Secretary, submitting to the House a copy of their Statement of Appropriations, Allotments, Obligations, Disbursements, and Balances of the National Government Agencies for the quarter ending March 31, 2023.
To the Committee on Appropriations.
Letter dated June 9, 2023 of the Sandigan Bayan, Presiding Justice, furnishing the House with a copy of their agency action plan and status of implementation as of June 9, 2023 of the COA's annual audit report and management letter for calendar year ending December 31, 2022.
To the Committee on Public Accounts.
Letter dated June 3, 2023 of the Regional Director, COA Regional Office 1, furnishing the House with copies of their annual audit reports for the year ending December 31, 2022 on certain state university and colleges.
To the Committee on Public Accounts.
Letter dated June 16, 2023 of the Acting Bank Officer 6, Office of the General Counsel and Legal Services, BSP, transmitting to the House duly certified copies of certain BSP issuances.
To the Committee on Banks and Financial Intermediaries.
Report to Congress of DOLE and Department of Migrant Workers from July to December 2022 entitled Semi-Annual Report of the Philippine Overseas Labor Offices, now Migrant Workers Offices, for the second semester of 2022.
To the Committee on Overseas Workers Affairs.
Annual audit reports on certain water districts.
To the Committee on Public Accounts.
Annual audit reports on certain state universities for the year ending December 31, 2022.
To the Committee on Public Accounts.
Annual audit report on the Philippine Center for Post-Harvest Development and Mechanization for the year ending December 31, 2022.
To the Committee on Public Accounts.
Committee reports. Committee report numbers 694, 695, and 696 submitted by the Committee on Tourism on House Bill numbers 8608, 8609, and 8610.
To the Committee on Rules. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker,
The Honorable Marcoleta is now recognized.
Madam Speaker, I rise on a question of privilege.
What is the nature of the matter on which the Honorable Marcoleta rises?
I wish to formally react to the speech of the good mayor of the city of Baguio, Benjamin Magalong.
The Speaker, the Honorable Marcoleta has 10 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Bible says, do not judge, and you will not be judged. Do not condemn, and you will not be condemned. On July 3, 2023, the city mayor of Baguio spoke before the personnel of the Philippine National Police at its headquarters in Quezon City in its flag-raising ceremony. Initially, Madam Speaker, he spoke about technology and governance, how local governments can enhance the way they govern, the way they process, the way they manage local government units. Surprisingly, he discarded, as he said, his prepared speech, and he allegedly talked from his heart and from his mind. He talked about the mounting national budget of the country. He said about 13.86 trillion pesos, taking swipe at the former President Rodrigo Duterte, saying that in his term, the national budget rose to 142%. And he said, he is very much worried. He said that only a few raise hell. And at that point, he said that he himself and some of his colleagues in the PNP are prepared to contribute reasonable part of their pension to address the national budget. But suddenly, he turned and point like an accusing finger to the legislature. Mabuti po, Madam Speaker, basahin ko po yung parte ng kanyang sinabi. Ito po, and I quote, "Pero nakakalungkot, nothing have we heard from our legislators that they are willing to give up their pork barrels. Nakakalungkot na meron na nga silang tinatawag na porsyento sa bawat project, hindi pa nagsawa. May porsyento na nga sila pa ang contractor, sila pa rin ang supplier. Hintayin natin kung anong sasabihin ng ating mga magigiting na legislators. Hintayin natin silang magsalita. Hopefully, one of them will come out in the open and tell us it is about time that legislators should also give a big contribution to address a national government issue, especially on our national debt." Big words, Madam Speaker. It is as if the good mayor of Baguio would like to portray himself as the knight in shining armor, armed with a silver bullet to address corruption in this country. I'd like to believe that he is trying to project himself as the Hercules of Greece in mythology, who has tried to cleanse the Augean stables, the modern reference of graft and corruption, Madam Speaker. And so this representation initially reacted in his program several days ago. Armed with the annual audit report of COA ending December 31, 2022, this representation pointed out that 347 development projects prioritized by the city of Baguio were never implemented. They are worth 943 million pesos, Madam Speaker. So the intended purpose, the intended socio-economic and environmental services to the targeted beneficiaries were not delivered. A portion of that audit report, Madam Speaker, also showed that 40 of the ongoing partially implemented projects were terminated because they incurred substantial negative slippage. 26 of them valued 40 million pesos, incurred negative 15%. What does this mean, Madam Speaker? This means that there is no actual monitoring and supervision of the projects. The COA said the required detailed engineering activities were never undertaken. The total of those 40 ongoing projects is 96 million pesos, Madam Speaker. The funds received from DPWH intended to construct a multipurpose building and the athletic oval bowl in Burhan Park, Madam Speaker, were used to pay the progress billing of a separate city project in violation of the project's Memorandum of Agreement and in violation of the GAA of 2021. That's diversion, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the accounts of the special education tax and the real property tax amounting to 456 million pesos could not be ascertained. Why? Because of the unreconciled difference between the reported balance of the city accounting office and the reported tax due of the city treasury office in the amount of 265 million pesos, or a discrepancy of some 191 million pesos. By December 31, 2022, the total unsettled notice of disallowances and charges, Madam Speaker, as audited by COA, totaled 235 million pesos. Even the local disaster reduction management fund in the total of 405 million pesos, only 106 million pesos were utilized, Madam Speaker, showing a utilization rate of 26%. Why? Why do they have to withhold the services that are due to the constituents of Baguio? Why is it that COA was able to note a time deposit of the city of Baguio in the amount of 4.3 billion pesos? Bakit hindi po nila gastahin? These are supposed to mitigate the effects of the environment, to shield and protect the people of Baguio. Bakit po iipunin ang 4.3 billion pesos in the treasury, in the banks, at hindi gamitin? Hinamon ko po siya sa aking program, sabi ko, if you're listening, Mayor Magalong, okay naman po yung contribution ng inyong pension, kung gusto po ninyo. Pero maliit po yun. Why don't you give up the confidential fund? Kasi po, meron po kayong confidential fund, according to reports, about 2 million pesos per year. Siguro magsimula po kayo doon, and then kung meron po kayong maitulong at na iba pa, makausap nyo yung ibang mga mayors. Whatever amount that you will be able to produce, I will ask the leadership of Congress to match that, maybe 5 times of the amount that you will be able to produce, so that we can address the problem of our national budget. Pero wag kang magpaparatang. Do not point the accusing finger to the legislature. The legislature is much more greater than the sum total of its parts. Do not generalize. With this qualified accounts of COA, Madam Speaker, the case of Mayor Magalong is like the pot telling the kettle black. Para pong sinabi po nung palayok, o ikaw kawali, ang itim-itim mo. Nasabi ko rin po sa programa ko, Madam Speaker, na maraming illegal gambling dyan sa'yo. Doon lamang sa harap po ng City Hall, doon sa Otec Street, right at the tip of the nose of the mayor of Baguio City, meron pong pasugalan doon. In Dapay, in Legarda area, doon sa Kayang Hilltop, in Magsaysay area, sa Buknawan, ang dami pong pasugalan. Inamin niya po yun. Sabi niya, hindi ko naman problema yung mga pasugalan. Trabaho ng pulis yan. Sino po ba ang naglalagay ng pulis sa isang syudad, Madam Speaker? Hindi naman ako kanya kumukuha kung ano man ang nagaganap sa pasugalan. Kung hindi ka nagkakaroon, bakit hindi mo ipasara o ipatigil? Masyado naman yatang obvious yun. Sabi pa niya, Madam Speaker, huwag niyong pakikialaman ng Baguio. Ayaw mo palang pakialaman ng Baguio, ba't pinakikialaman mo ang legislature? Did he forget, Madam Speaker, that Congress, aside from legislative functions, meron po tayong dalawa pang natitirang functions. This is the power to conduct inquiry in aid of legislation, as well as the oversight function of Congress. Kaya po natin silang ipatawag. Wag po niyang sasabihin na wag pakialaman ang Baguio. Dahil hindi naman sa kanya ang Baguio. Nung nagpa-interview po siya sa radyo and television, he was asked to name names. But he refused to name names. Ang sabi po niya, I cannot do that. If I name names, I will be put in a very, very adverse situation. How come that he so appeared like he cares about our country, that he loved the country, that he showed patriotism and heroism? But he cannot face, he's not brave enough to face the consequences of his action. Madam Speaker, there was a challenge posed by the Bible thousands of years ago. He who is without sin should cast the first stone. With all due respect and in all candor, Madam Speaker, I do not believe that the mayor of Baguio City has the moral integrity or the rectitude to cast the first stone. No one is, Madam Speaker. Thank you very much.
Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move that we refer the personal and collective speech of the Honorable Marcoleta to the Committee on Rules.
Is there any objection? The chair hears none. The motion is approved. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I would like to acknowledge the guests of Representative Margarita Attorney Migs Nograles of PBA Party List, namely Mr. Rafael Luis Jacinto Salice, law student from Davao City, Mr. Sam Anthony Jacinto Salice, Ateneo de Davao University, Mr. Jose Godardo Anilio Jacinto, University of Asia and the Pacific, Mr. Franco Mateo Anilio Jacinto, Philippine Science High School Main Campus.
To the guests of Representative Margarita B. Nograles, welcome to the House of Representatives. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, today being a Monday and pursuant to our rules, I move that we open the privileged hour.
Is there any objection? The chair hears none. The chair declares a privilege hour.
Madam Speaker, I now move that the lady, Representative Marissa Delmar Magsino of OFW Party List be recognized to avail of the privilege hour.
The Honorable Rep. Marissa Delmar Magsino of the OFW Party List is now recognized.
Madam Speaker, Speaker Ferdinand Romualdez, Majority Leader Manny Dalipe, Minority Leader Marcelino Libanan, to all our guests, fellow workers in government, a pleasant afternoon. Madam Speaker, my privileged speech today is about the consultation of our overseas Filipino workers and Filipino communities in South Korea and Hong Kong. Madam Speaker, today communication with the use of digital devices and a wide array of computer software applications has a profound influence on our relative perception of physical distance and human interaction in space and time. It is now possible for people to meet, talk, and discuss, notwithstanding the geographical space separating them. Despite that, for me, there is nothing better than personal interaction. Thus, last June 9 to 13, 2023, this representation flew to South Korea to meet with our overseas Filipino workers and various stakeholders to gain a comprehensive understanding of their situation and concerns in said host country. Being the legislator representing our OFWs in the current Congress, it is important for this representation to see firsthand how our OFWs are faring in their host countries and to personally listen to their sentiments and suggestions in order to determine programs and policy remedies needed to address their concerns. Recognizing that each host country presents its own challenges, we need to pursue appropriate and country-specific approaches rather than applying a blanket solutions to the problems of our OFWs actively employed abroad. Incidentally, Madam Speaker, South Korea is the second host country officially visited by this representation, the OFW Party List, following a similar official trip to Indonesia in 2022, inspired by the same objectives and approach. The official visit in South Korea kicked off with this representation attending the Pistang Pinoy sa Korea 2023 in celebration of the 125th Philippine Independence Day and the 28th Annual Migrant Workers Day, with about 1,000 OFWs present. This event was the first major gathering of Filipinos in South Korea after 3 years due to the COVID-19 restrictions, showcasing the best of Filipino culture and arts. While the mood was festive, the air was also filled with a great sense of patriotism and national pride. This representation was fortunate not only for the opportunity to share the occasion with our OFWs, but for experiencing a seemingly surreal moment of demonstration of the Filipino identity and celebration of our national independence in a foreign land. However, Madam Speaker, the true high point of this representation's visit was the town hall meeting with the leaders of the Filipino communities in South Korea. With Philippine Ambassador to South Korea, our hardworking Maria Teresa Dizon de Vega and Labor Attaché Maria Celeste Valderrama in attendance. The meeting centered on the challenges faced by our roughly 60,000 OFWs in South Korea, mainly abuses and exploitation
committed against them, including illegal recruitment and human trafficking, contract switching, investment scams, violations of labor standards, particularly among our seasonal workers and their vulnerabilities arising from their undocumented stay. A very alarming issue that came out of the discussions is the existence of the so-called LGU to LGU arrangements between the Philippines and South Korea in the recruitment of our beloved OFWs, which is allegedly being exploited in perpetuating violations of the labor rights of our overseas workers covered by the arrangements. Apparently, under the arrangement called Seasonal Workers Program, local government units in South Korea invite seasonal workers from the Philippines to work in any farming, agricultural, fishing villages for 3 to 5 months through Memorandum of Understanding with counterpart LGUs without going through the screening process of the DMW or the Department of Migrant Workers, thus leaving a loophole for possible abuses and anomalies. This representation has brought this matter to the attention of the Department of Interior and Local Government and personally talked to Secretary Benhar Abalos for its investigation and appropriate action on the issue. But what is utterly revolting, Madam Speaker, are the nefarious activities being committed by our fellow Filipinos against our OFWs. There are complaints against recruitment agencies in the country which facilitate the hiring of OFWs, mainly artists, entertainers, and cultural workers who only fall victims to prostitution and human trafficking. There are also charges of complicity of some Filipinos in the commission of massive investment scams in South Korea, victimizing our OFWs. The scheme has to date reportedly netted 150 million pesos of blood money from our OFWs in South Korea. Then, there are the alleged extortion activities of corrupt personnel of the Bureau of Immigration who prevent our OFWs from preventing and departing the country unless for a price. But this time, with a twist in their long-running ploy. This time, Madam Speaker, they victimized previously undocumented OFWs returning to South Korea with a valid visa after having been granted amnesty by the South Korean government. In response, this representation on behalf of the OFW party list and with the concurrence of our embassy officials therein present, committed to take concrete steps to address these problems that burden our OFWs in South Korea. Just recently, we coordinated with the law enforcement and concerned agencies in the Philippines, particularly with the National Bureau of Investigation, or NBI, to investigate the alleged illegal recruitment and extortion activities, investment scams, and other fraudulent activities that victimize our OFWs and to identify the perpetrators, particularly the Filipino accomplices, to the extent possible and cause the prosecution to the full breadth of the law. Madam Speaker, this representation is cognizant that these measures are easier said than done, but to default is not an option, and nothing will ever be achieved unless we try and persist. With that said, our OFWs are worth our efforts. In 2022, Madam Speaker, as reported by the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, $811.72 million worth of remittances came from our OFWs in South Korea. and it is projected to increase in the years to come as more of our deployed migrant workers work to South Korea. Madam Speaker, this representation on behalf of the OFW party list, together with our embassy officials in South Korea, Ambassador Teresa Dizon de Vega, Labor Attaché Valderrama, also had the rare opportunity to visit the National Assembly of South Korea and met with our counterpart representative in South Korea, Cho Jung-hoon, who introduced a proposed legislation allowing foreign migrants to work as household service workers in their country. But the catch, with a different wage system that appears to offer lower minimum wages. Although the proposal is laudable, we express our concern on the need to fine-tune the package in order to safeguard the rights of foreign household service workers, particularly our prospective OFWs, consistent with the labor standards enshrined in the ILO conventions, primarily on fair remuneration and against discrimination, and other applicable laws of both the host and the source countries. This is an important concern in the light of the fact that the most vulnerable to abuses and maltreatment among our OFWs, our household service workers, as demonstrated by many such cases in the Middle East countries. Hence, it is also vital to consider the readiness of employers and institutions in South Korea in taking in household service workers with respect to guaranteeing their workers fair wages and just treatment. We have made sure that these concerns were respectfully and cordially communicated to the host South Korean officials during the high government level meeting. After all, Filipino household service workers are very much sought after all over the world for their known competence and trustworthiness. Significantly, we have learned from this meeting that dialogues of this kind provide avenues for stronger and more effective coordination with host countries on labor migration issues, which in turn enhance our efforts in reshaping local policies towards the promotion of the rights and welfare of our OFWs. Madam Speaker, this representation also had the chance to visit the Seoul Foreign Residence Center, a facility run by an NGO and dedicated to addressing common issues of foreign residents and workers in South Korea, such as resettlement, assimilation of the Korean culture, and labor rights violations. Accompanied by our Consul General Romulo Victor Israel Jr., Vice Consul Jillian Joyce de Dumo Cornista, this representation discussed with the Center's Director Kim Dong-hoon and his officers the concerns of our OFWs in achieving their harmonious integration into the communities of their residents and workplaces. The meeting underscores the need to establish active partnerships with foreign private organizations engaged in similar advocacies in the host countries of our OFWs as allies on the ground to strengthen our networking and monitoring activities. This representation also took time to drop by our Migrant Workers Office in South Korea. The MWO, which under Republic Act number 1164, has absorbed all the powers and existing functions of the Philippine Overseas Labor Offices, or POLOS, the Office for the Social Welfare Attaché, and of the existing Assistance to Nationals units of the Foreign Service Post with regards to OFWs and the Philippine embassies and consulates. The MWO is now the overseas operating arm of the newly created DMW tasked to protect the rights and promote the welfare of our OFWs. The visit enabled this representation to be apprised of the various assistance the MWO provides to our OFWs in South Korea, as well as see firsthand the halfway house where our distressed OFWs may stay prior to repatriation when needed.
Aktibidades ng mga kinatawan sa pamumuno ni Speaker Ferdinand Martin FMR Romualdez, Cámara, House of the People, tuwing Sabado alas 6 hanggang alas 7 ng umaga at replays tuwing Linggo alas 6 hanggang alas 7 ng gabi dito lang sa FMR Quezon 94.3, ang inyong favorite